Yo, welcome back to Gridiron podcast. I'm your host, JB. Joining me as always is Davontae Forever, fresh out of Pittsburgh. What's going on, bro?
Yo. Sorry you guys got this on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. I just flew in like 2 hours ago. I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, he pulled out Waylon Dalen like he Ric Flair. Like
Hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do to go see your guys win. By the way, pardon my voice if it cuts in and out. I'm gonna be sounding like Doc Rivers this entire time. So my
it's
bad.
not,
I got hype.
it's not on Blake. It's not on Blake.
It's not Blake's fault.
Yo, appreciate all the love and support, man. Yo, we had a kind of a crazy week in the NFL, man. People, teams is just like some teams that we thought was going to go on a run to start the year. It's not. Some teams that we thought was going to, being picked for the number one draft is 2-0. Now it could still go either way, obviously, but it's kind of crazy how just the start we got off to. You know what I mean? Some fan bases are now hyped. They got a W on the board. Some fan bases like, what the hell's going on? And some was like, it's going exactly how we expected. But you're gonna kick this off, man. What was just your quick thoughts on a week two besides the game that you went to? I know you caught some of the ball on Sunday, so
I would say definitely that it's still very early. So like there's teams where it's like they have no business getting wins that are getting wins. That doesn't mean really anything to me. Um, but I definitely there's definitely been some bounce back ones that I've really appreciated. Like I like to see Geno Smith bounce back and beat the Lions, which threw me way off. Like I didn't expect that. I like to see the Giants and the Cardinals game, even though Giants had no business being down that much by the damn Cardinals, no business at all. But it was definitely a good game to watch. So I would definitely say entertaining for the most part of week two. It gets crazier and crazier.
absolutely. We talked about this last year. I think this might be maybe 1 or 2 more weeks until I call it real football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that the teams who won didn't matter and the teams who lost don't have nothing to worry about, but
Mm-hmm.
like preseason, as you know, it's not the same how it used to be. Guys is just still getting a reps. You know what I mean? A lot of the injuries we used to see in training camp, we're now starting to see week one, week two. So sloppy football still being played, but I'm actually hyped to see what's going to happen in these next couple of weeks. So let's not waste any time. Leave a comment down below, of course. Usually we do this on Tuesday nights, but again, he had to travel back, so special night, special time. But
Yeah.
let's get right into it, man. Besides the fact that Davontae was gone, the Chiefs and the Chiefs and the Jaguars, man. This was a game that we both had, that we both wanted to know about last week, and it didn't play out how many thought. The Chiefs won 17-9. Mahomes had a good game, good bounce back game. He did throw like what I call a senseless pick, and he usually don't do that. But he bounced back. Travis Kelsey caught a touchdown, 300 yards. But the real story was the Chiefs defense. Um, Excuse the typo on the screen. I know this is golf. That's actually Lawrence, of course. 216 yards, no touchdowns. Didn't like yo, my what's your takeaways from this game? Obviously, we know Kansas City, both these teams gonna be able to score the ball a lot better, but the defense that was played on both sides was actually good. It wasn't just sloppy, it was actually good defense on both sides.
It was very an oddball of a game. I definitely think that Chris Jones made his presence much more known.
Yeah.
And like I think the Chiefs got low key good on defense. Just not it was just they were always pick 28, 29, 30, 31. So they never got like the most flashy picks. But like George Karlaftis is a good football player. Like
Yes.
they have decent football. I don't know why people forget like they have like Mike Bolton is a good linebacker too. Like they have good defensive players. And also if you ever notice, Steve Spagnuolo is a great defensive coach. I don't understand
Yeah.
why we just forget that because our offense is so high powered. With that being said, when you talk about the Jaguars defense, I think Josh Allen is one of the most underrated defenders in this league for sure.
Yep.
Like Josh Allen is absolutely disgusting. Like you just don't hear about him because he plays on Jacksonville and they were trash for a very long time.
Absolutely. One thing I'm gonna say about the Chiefs defense is I think part of the reason now there was times where it was absolutely that bad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's back when they used to make the jokes on Sorensen, the safety, and they used to say all they got is Chris Jones and the Honey Badger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, now Nick Bolton is a monster. Karate can get after it. You know what I mean? Obviously, Chris Jones is Chris Jones. Justin Reed in the back, he's holding it down. He's not as playmaking as Matthew is / was, but he plays sound football. And the corners they got, I know they're young. I know they got a lot of first year, second year guys playing, but they young and they hungry. They get after it, man. So like, I'm not saying the Chiefs defense is going to be top 10, top 5, or nothing like that, but it's going to be better than 15. It's going to be in that, I say, somewhere in that 7 to 15 like range. And with the offense they got, and I do think they'll get it going more on offense. I think that's good enough. You know what I mean? So many, and hell, Chiefs have won the Super Bowl. Was it 2019 or whatever, when they had like the 24th ranked defense? So for them to have a top 15, top 12 defense, that's going to speak volumes, man.
True. Agree. Can't agree enough.
No doubt. All right, yo, let's get to the game. Davontae, I know Davontae want to talk about. Monday night, the Steelers defeat the Browns 26-22 in what I call a defensive showdown. Browns defense is real. Steelers, if they can ever do anything, is play defense. So, two touchdowns. I'm gonna get my part out the way because I know you got a lot to say. I know this is your team.
For yours,
the game. And
for yours.
Big injury. First off, shout out to Nick Chubb. Big injury, was disgusting. I saw it like live, and then they showed the replay once, and then they stopped showing it, which I'm glad. Big praise to him. Shout out to Ford, who came in the game and made noise. You know, usually everybody talk about the backup QB, but to come in and take over for the running game is challenging within itself. You know what I mean? Watson, I'm gonna give it a few more weeks because he looks super rusty, man. Like, just some of the throws he's throwing way too high. He's throwing the ball out of bounds on go routes. It's just a little, and he was doing this for like the past like 6 games that he played. As for the Steelers, the run game still, I know Najee broke a few runs in the end, which is good, but the run game still bothers me because, you know, I've never seen a Steelers team that can't run the rock well. Pickens is a monster. I'm glad to see Pickett got the ball to him ironically the same route that Zach Wilson hit Garrett Wilson with, and they both went for 6. So funny how that happens, right? Get the ball to the playmakers' hands. But the defense, man, the defense is a monster. It's a factory for defensive players. And I know that because even as a Raiders fan, we have Spillane now, who, as you know, came from Steelers. And although he has some missed tackles in that Bills game, but he come up, he's ferocious, man. That's the thing about Watt and the crew; they all ferocious, man. But that's what I got. That's what I got to say. I expect both of these teams. Take it away.
Okay, so first off, I want to give a big shout out to defensive player, AFC Defensive Player of the Week, Alex Highsmith. Bro, when he caught that pick and ran in the end zone on the very first play of the game, that's when I lost my voice. I went crazy. Like, that's the wildest way to start off a game. And then, more importantly, then his strip sack fumble. Then the way he plays the run. It was incredible. So shout out I wanted to give him his high hopes. Next, pray for Nick Chubb, of course. Prayers for Nick Chubb. That knee injury was absolutely disgusting. Seeing it live in the Jumbotron was absolutely ew. I never want to see that again.
Right.
I don't want to hear anything. TJ Watt is the best defender walking on God's green earth. Show me somebody who had a better 2 weeks than he had. I'll wait. Mind you, we literally just played Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa.
So the names you're always going to hear in this modern NFL, you're always going to get Donald. You're always going to get Bosa. Obviously, I'm talking about Nick Bosa. You're always going to get Micah Parsons. If we're talking non-defensive line, you're going to get Sauce. You know what I mean?
Of course.
From the Jets. And a name that I will throw in there, even though he's not quite there yet, is Quinnen Williams from the Jets. Fred Warner is another one. You know what I mean?
All great players.
Yeah.
All great players. Once again, TJ Watt is the best defender in the NFL. Why? I'm going to tell you why. Because every one of those teams, the only person you can argue who depends on their D linemen like we do is probably Aaron Donald. But guess what? When's the last time you seen Aaron Donald have a monster game? Because he barely played last year. Barely played.
Yeah, it
Barely played.
seemed like he
played,
got his ring. Yeah, he got his
played,
ring, and now it's kind of
starting to settle down now. He played all
Yeah.
right. He didn't play bad the last 2 weeks. Played okay.
Right.
Nothing crazy. Now, you look at TJ Watt. I told you, literally, we were 2-6 without TJ Watt. We damn near almost made the playoffs last year because of TJ Watt.
Right.
You go to this year. How do we start the year off? This is basically his revenge year because he missed 8 games, so he really couldn't win Defensive Player of the Year last year. So how do we start this year off? He has 3 sacks and a forced fumble. Yesterday, he has a sack. He has a sack and the touchdown. Bro, he's the best. Nobody depends on him like we do. We literally depend on him. We had to depend on him to win the game. Had to. We don't win the game without that forced fumble and him running it back.
Right.
Period. So I had to say that TJ Watt is the best defender in the NFL. Argue with your mama. Don't care. Now, I love Kenny Pickett, but the thing about Kenny Pickett is, for me, here's my rule with quarterbacks. I don't judge quarterbacks too harshly when their offensive coordinator does not have them in the right scheme at all. Matt Canada.
Right.
I'll start with this. It's 3rd and 1. You can put the game away if you get a first down.
Right.
You didn't get the ball to Najee up the middle. You didn't throw the ball. You were in a QB ISO.
Yep.
He had to be playing ass Madden out there. It's 3rd and or another time, it's 3rd and 5 or something like that. You ran a swing route to your running back. Why do we have George Pickens? Why do we have Pat Freiermuth? It's one thing if they was just getting shut down in coverage. You're not throwing the ball. And you can tell with this offense that he's scheming, Kenny can't audible nothing. It's like he's given a play. If the previous play they're showing man coverage, he's like, all right, we're running this play no matter what. What if they switch into his own? We have the most predictable offense in the league, and I don't think it's close. You know where we are right now? We're 31. We have the 31 ranked offense in this league.
Right.
And it's because of his schemes. For example, you talk about Najee Harris being critical. You're very critical of Najee Harris, which I don't mind.
Well,
critical.
The run game.
But even in the past times we've had conversations, you were very critical of Najee Harris.
Yes.
But now, even with you, who's somebody very critical, would you run him on 2 outside zones back to back?
Of course not.
Why are we running Najee Harris back to back on outside zones?
Right.
Why are we doing these things? One thing I look at it sometimes, I'm like, all right, maybe it's not the running backs. Maybe sometimes it's the offensive line where I'm like, we're not a zone offensive team. Why are we running zones so much? Of course they're just eating gaps and no, we need to be running 12-man type personnels and mauling people. Because if you ever look at the Detroit Lions, all they do is just line up 12 deep and punch people in the face.
Right.
You look at the Jets, even with Zach Wilson's bum self, they literally line up 12 people and they punch people in the face.
Right.
This is the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. So now, do I think we should fire Matt Canada now? No. Why?
No,
because
definitely not.
Nobody does that. We got to deal with him for the rest of the year, no matter what. Now, if he got a job by the end of the year, we got some Coach Mike Tomlin, we got a problem.
Okay.
That's I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it there.
That's more than fair. That's definitely more than fair. Let's get to these comments. Davontae Armwood said, "Goofy movie in the background."
I was classic. We standing eye to eye.
Ben Former, what's up, Pops? He said, "Not sold on Kansas City defense yet. More will be revealed with their schedule. That D will be tested. They definitely will. They definitely will. Obviously it's the beginning of the year, so obviously things are a little slow behind. So Nate Butler, what's going on, bro? What's good, bro? He said only shout out should be to Baltimore. And he said Roquan over Fred Warner. Roquan been beasting since he got to Baltimore.
I'm not
that
mad.
Ravens defense is looking serious. And
I think Fred's a better coverage linebacker, though, in my opinion.
As of right now, 2 weeks in, the Ravens looking like the best team in the North, which again, now to be fair, I had them second, and I think you had them to win the North actually. But so far, so good. And even then, they still don't look like they quite clicking, along with all the other teams in the league. But you know what I mean? They still
Lamar leads in pass completions, right?
Yeah, he does. He does.
But he's just a running quarterback. Okay.
Right, he does.
Okay.
So be on the lookout for the Ravens. They definitely look good in that victory over Cincinnati. Ben Form also said both Steelers and Browns are similar, very tough defenses and offenses that don't scare anyone. My thing is, both the offenses, I think they have the pieces, right? I know Johnson is out for the Steelers. I know Cooper's he played, but he's banged up. I know both tackles were out for the Browns. So, like, but what I'm saying is, it's like both of them, I think, have a play calling problem. We all know about Matt Canada, but also Stefanski is another one. You know what I mean? Stefanski is another one. He calls it, whether he has Baker or Deshaun Watson, he calls the game the same way every single time, which boggles my mind. You know what I mean?
But at least they feed their best player. At least they feed their best player. Well, fed past tense now, but at least they fed their best player in Nick Chubb. We don't feed our best player, which doesn't make any sense.
Right. So yeah. So obviously, Cleveland will host the Titans this week. But then again, the Titans just beat the Chargers. So I feel like this year in the NFL, there are no gimmies. You know what I mean? So that's gonna be a tough one. They're gonna have to deal with Derrick Henry and Tannehill. After throwing 3 picks in the opening game, he definitely cleaned it up for the second game. And obviously Pittsburgh will head to Vegas, who just got stomped by the Bills. And we'll talk about the game a little later. But I feel like we're at this point in the thing where everybody's beating everybody besides a handful of the teams that are 2-0. And it's like we don't know what we have yet. So like, and when you don't know what you have, it's actually the worst time to drop games you shouldn't drop. You know what I mean? Yeah, because you don't know what's going to happen. All right, let's get to his comment. Pop said, "Wait till Burrow get healthy." Enough said. All right, let's get to the next NFC East. Last year was a division that sent 3 teams to the playoffs, and the kickoff this year, Dallas, Philly, Washington, all 2-0. Giants sitting at 101 after a ridiculous comeback. From both Washington and and the Giants. So let me ask you, of these 4 teams, which of these do you think are real? Which do you think are fake? And we're talking about in terms of making a deep playoff run. We're not talking about who can get to the playoffs, who can get to the playoff run, who get to the playoffs and make noise.
You mean team, because the only team going to the playoff, go making a deep playoff run is Philadelphia. Dallas will be going home just like they always do. They'll choke like they always do. Why is Dallas more prone to choke out of all of them? Because Dallas has the weakest schedule on the planet. They play nobody. And especially because the Jets just lost Aaron Rodgers. If they would have lost Zach Wilson, they would have just canceled the season already.
Hold on. Max, what's good, Max? What's going on, bro? He said, wait till Zach Wilson makes the playoffs. I'm going to talk about that in a second.
I promise you, if they would have lost to Zach Wilson and the Jets last week, I promise you they would have fired Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, right. Well, some people are already saying it's going to be Dan Quinn's job regardless. But
now you look at let's go Washington, right? Washington, I think they have the talent. They have talent, but one, the defensive line is like stacked with first round picks, but they all hurt. But they all get hurt. Jonathan Allen is a dog, another slept-on D lineman in this league. Chase Young has been banged up. So Deron Payne is nasty. So like they got a lot of players, but their defense is always banged up in certain fashions. Now, but if you look at their offense is incredibly improved. But so like with Eric Bieniemy, and I think eventually they just kind of trying to like get Ron Rivera out of there, so that they can just hand it straight to Eric Bieniemy. But like I think Eric Bieniemy is gonna make Sam Howell into a really tough, good-looking quarterback because they got weapons out there. Dotson is nice. Terry's one of the most underrated receivers in this league.
Yo, you saw that catch? You saw the touchdown catch?
Of course.
Talking about scaling and getting it. You know what I mean?
And he threw a dime too in double coverage. Yeah. So like I think the Washington Redskins I think the Commanders have talent, but they're not there yet to make a deep playoff run. And the Giants, they just lost Saquon for like at least 3 weeks. And do I think Daniel Jones can do it by himself? No, I can't. Honestly, what like our dear friends in our group chats talk about Justin Fields, we about to see Daniel Jones go through the same thing. Show me I'm wrong. Show me they're not the same quarterback. You're going to see the same exact quarterback. And I'm going to laugh.
If they are the same quarterback, then that would speak badly on Justin Fields because look how it was when Daniel Jones was drafted versus when Justin Fields was drafted. Fields is drafted. It's like, okay, what is he going to do? He's going to make moves. Okay. Versus they literally mocked Daniel Jones getting picked. It's a big difference.
Well, I know what. I'll tell you what. One of these weeks, we got to make that a topic.
Sure. We'll do that next week.
We'll leave it
next week. In terms of the NFC East, let me say this right now.
Go ahead.
Philly and Dallas are 100% going to the playoffs in at least the divisional round. Who knows? Maybe they'll even meet in the divisional round. So I obviously I can't have them both going beyond that. I right now Philly looked good against the Vikings on past Thursday. Little sloppy still, but again, it's week 2. Dallas, again, their defense looked really good. The offense still a little sloppy for my liking, especially in the red zone. You know what I mean? Going 2 for 6 in the red zone. 6 trips in the red zone is good for any team, but going 2 for 6, where last year they led the league in red zone in terms of scoring touchdowns, a little worried. You know what I mean? I am a little worried about that. But again, the Jets have what I call a great defense. So I'm not really too hard. Plus, let's be honest, Dallas didn't really have to score a bunch of points to win this game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think Zach Wilson, is being over exaggerated. I think Wilson will be fine. But it's his first official game as a starter after thinking he was going to ride the bench all year. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's give him time. And again, I said this last week, the Dallas pass rush is real. They got 2 corners. You can say what you want about Diggs, and I've taken shots at him in the past saying like he's not Darrelle Revis, which he's not. But the thing with him and Gilmore, they play really good coverage. And the crazy part is that secondary, they play great coverage in tandems, you know what I mean, together. So it's like somebody gets beat, somebody's there to make the tackle, besides when Garrett Wilson scored that touchdown. So I am worried about the running game for Dallas because I'm not the biggest fan of Deuce Vaughn or Pollard being the regular back. I think they are going to miss because, let's be honest, Cowboys led the league in short yardage touchdowns last year, and we know who did that. It was Zeke, who's now in New England. So I think both of those teams are real because I think both of those teams, whoever beats who in the divisional round, you know what I mean, I think will probably go on. I think Washington is a team that is good. I think they might make the playoffs. Reason I say that, the defense is there. I like what Eric B is doing with Sam Howell. And I'm not saying anything right now. I'm just saying the Commanders' offense took a jump and the Chiefs' offense look a little stagnant. They still got Patrick Mahomes. They still got Andy Reid. They're going to be fine. I'm not saying they're going to fall off. But what I'm saying is I think losing your offensive coordinator does mean something. That's all I'm saying. Agreed. Eric B, I think, is a very good offensive coordinator. And so far, he has Sam Howell looking much better than I think any of us would have thought he would. The Giants, Saquon going down really hurts because they relied on him heavy. I will say this, and I like Saquon a lot. He has to catch the ball better because again, basically, I think either a pick or close to a pick happened because it bounced right off his hands into the defender. He has to catch the ball better. Hope he heals up with that ankle. So I think I'm gonna say 2. Dallas and Philly, I think, are there. Both teams, I'm not impressed with their offense right now. They both look very very sloppy. Both of the defenses, I think, will hold them down all year. Washington, the defense is real. We'll see if the offense continues to get better. I think this time, if 3 teams make it, I think the Giants are actually the odd team out. Let's get to the comments. All right. Max said, wait till Wilson get healthy. Davontae said, y'all think the Commanders serious in the terms of they could push for that final wild card spot. Not farther than that. I think they're still, if they can have
they're improving. They're very much improving.
If they can have a good draft this upcoming year, then I think look out because they got pieces all over all 3 phases of the game. They got pieces.
I agree. Max
said Bieniemy will make Sam Howell better than Lawrence and Herbert. That's a statement because Justin Herbert is balling despite being 0-2. But we'll talk about that in a little while. Yeah, but I think he's going to make Sam Howell good. Pat Mahomes had nothing but great things to say about him this entire time, including not just when he left, but the entire time of how he makes the game easier for him. And I think he's doing that for Sam Howell as well. Matt Catchers, what's good, bro? What's going on? Joe Flacco still on the market to save the Jets. I don't know if I would go Flacco, only because he's super stationary. You know what I mean? Like he's super stationary. Like, Davontae said Jets need a QB. Let's see. You're not going to play Dallas that pass rush every single week. You know what I mean? Like, there's only few teams in the league who get after it like that. And as far as I know, it's not like next week they play the Steelers, then the week after that they play the Niners. That's not how the schedule works out for the Jets. So we'll see. I know they got Vegas on the schedule, and they got one guy to worry about in terms of a pass rush. So, all right. Pop says Skins are on a come up, will surprise a lot of teams. Division hard to call after 2 weeks. Obviously, of course, injuries can happen. You know what I mean? Especially when we're talking about Dallas, where something always goes wrong with them.
We could call the NFC East in 2 weeks. We could call the NFC East in 2 weeks. It's the same story every year. Same story every year. They all. Besides last year.
You say that, but Dallas and Philly's been trading off the division for a little while now.
Again, I repeat, Dallas. While you were talking, right? I was trying to look it up on my phone, but I couldn't get it, so I had to look it up on my computer. Talk to me October 8th. If the Cowboys
when they play the Niners, yes, yeah.
When the Cowboys if the Cowboys beat the Niners in San Francisco, I will change how I feel about the Cowboys.
I disagree with that only because I think whoever wins that matchup, assuming they meet again in the playoffs and like it could be divisional round or whatever, right? I think whoever wins that matchup will lose the second time around. So
I want to see them. I want to see them win. I want to see them if they can beat the Niners at home on the road. I will be really looking at Dallas like a team. You know why? You want to know who they got this week? They got the Cardinals. Do I care about the Cardinals?
Yeah.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Not worried about that.
The Patriots, maybe.
That's a good game.
I'm not a Mac Jones kind of guy. I don't know about you. Mac Jones to me is real high.
But the defense is real in New England.
Yes. And then they play the Niners. And then they play the Niners, the Chargers, and then the Rams.
Okay.
And then
they will be tested. They will be tested.
So talk to me after October 8th.
Sounds good. Let's move on. All right, y'all. Denver Broncos. Sean Payton is now at the helm. Obviously, had some words for Nathaniel Hackett, who's now with the Jets as their OC. And so far, although the Broncos, you can say the offense looks a little better, they're still 0-2. So they're still off to the same start as they were before. Obviously, people are going to throw Russell Wilson's name in there under the bus as saying it's all him. I don't quite agree with that. Part of it is the play calling, and I know Sean Payton is beloved in the NFL, but some of the play calling he's had hasn't been too great. Same results as last year. They haven't beat the Raiders in 8 games now. And the Raiders have finished third. You know what I mean? So it's not like the Raiders are much better than them. What's going on in Denver?
Bro, I don't understand. You the only person I knew who had promise. I mean, who not maybe promise. You had hope for Denver. I said this 100 times. Denver has the exact same. They have like 12 slot receivers, all playing X's and Y's. They all run the same exact routes. If you ever look at the Denver offense, there's a lot of curls, drag routes, and flats, and flat routes. They have no dynamic offense, which makes it harder for Davontae Williams to run. Now, Russell Wilson looks better, but here's the thing we all forgot. We all forget that they traded away 90% of their defense.
They did.
They got rid of Bradley Chubb. They got rid of almost all the players. Only person left is Simmons on that defense, who's nice.
Yep. Who got
everybody
hurt,
else? Exactly. Everybody else they got rid of. Pat Surtain can't do it by himself. He's only a corner. He can't do it by himself.
Right.
So honestly, if you're asking me, I think the Broncos would be better off being trash, very trash. If they could be in like that, if you're asking me, if they could be in that top 2-ish part of the draft next year, and you hope Caleb Williams goes 1 to somebody, probably Arizona or something like that, and they can get Marvin Harrison Jr., then they can finally have a receiver who can dominate. They don't have a receiver who can dominate. Cortland Sutton hasn't dominated in years. Jerry Jeudy's not there. They don't have Russell. Don't really got nobody to throw the ball to because they all do the same. There is no real we got to watch out for him on that Broncos offense. So I'm not surprised they're 0-2 at all. I didn't expect them to be good.
I'm surprised they're 0-2 because I watched the game and they had a 28-7 lead.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm surprised they're 0-2. I'm not. So if they just got blown out, then fine, right? But they had a lead on Vegas for almost the entire game. They had a lead on Washington for damn near the entire game, and they blew both of the leads. To me, that's coaching. That's coaching. So Sean Payton had a lot to say. He had a lot to say about Hackett, and it ain't going too well. You know what I mean? So far. Now, I'm not going to say Sean Payton is not a good coach. I do think he is a good coach. But at the same time, it's like it ain't always easy to just go to a place where there's no Drew Brees. That defense that you had in New Orleans ain't there. There's no Kamara there. You know what I mean? So I'm like, it's a little more tough. And now they're 0-2, and now they have to go to Miami, where they probably will lose. So that will be 0-3. You know what I mean? And I expected big things from Denver this year because some of the young talent they have on defense, I think, can play. What I think where I fell short is I thought we was going to get that same Sean Payton from New Orleans. So far, the offense he said he was going to bring to Denver, he's not actually bringing to Denver because that same offense looks like it's still being ran in New Orleans, not Denver. You know what I mean? With the short curl routes and stuff, and then play action, take the shot downfield. That's not happening in Denver. It's like the Russell Wilson show. He's running a lot more. He lost to 20 pounds. He's running more. But the problem is, in this modern NFL, the defensive line is chasing down these quarterbacks now. It ain't just secondary and linebackers. The D linemen are chasing these guys down. And that's what happened to Wilson. Rolled out, got sacked by the defensive tackle, not the DN, the tackle. Now, Washington got some monsters, you know what I mean, who are athletic as hell. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't get caught, but at the same time, Miami's defense is getting there. Jordan Phillips is a problem. Christian Wilkins is a problem, you know what I mean? And both of them could chase down Wilson as well. So it might be a long year for Denver. I do think they are better than last year, but I mean, last year was a debacle, so that's kind of tough to call. Let's get to the comments. Pop said, Cowboys have a better chance to beat the Niners on the road than they do at home. I do believe Dallas is a team that plays better on the road. If some reason, it's like to play in front of their home crowd, it's something always goes wrong. Donnie, what's good, bro? Make sure y'all check out Past the Six podcast every Tuesday. That's the gaming show where we talk everything gaming. Last night we just celebrated 10 years of Grand Theft Auto 5. He said defense shit the bed in the fourth. They absolutely did because there's no reason why you blow that lead in the NFL. He says they have to execute. It's coaching. It's coaching. I know we all like to blame Russ, and I'm part of that because he was bad last year. There's no way around it. He was bad. That's all on Sean Payton. All right, let's get to the next topic, man. About to do some quick takes. You ready?
Let's rock.
I'm gonna take this one. I'm gonna give you the next one. Then we'll both do the last one. Bills demolished the Raiders 38-10. Does this restore your belief in the Bills? No, because that's what I think about the Raiders. I know that is my team. I am a Raiders fan. And I do think the Raiders will be better than last year. I think they're gonna win about 7-8 games this year. But yeah, no, the Patrick Graham and the defense is still not there. Max Crosby still has no help, even though the secondary is a little better. Chandler Jones is probably not going to play another snap in the NFL. Something, I don't know if it's mental health, but something's going wrong. And he's on Instagram making all types of videos. I'm not going to get into it. You can look for it yourself. It's not hard to find on Twitter or Instagram. So I don't think he's going to play anymore. So that leaves a hole on the other side to help out Max Crosby. The offense is the offense. They're going to throw to Davontae Adams. For some reason, Garoppolo will not throw to Hunter Renfrow for whatever reason. Jacoby Myers is hurt. So I do think the Bills are still going to be okay. But at the same time, this is not the test that would restore my faith in them. All right, Davontae, for you, the Chargers lost to the Titans in overtime, 27-24. They are 0-2 despite leading the NFL in points right now. 58 points, no turnovers. They're 0-2. What's going on with the Chargers?
Brandon Staley is an offensive coordinator, not a head coach. He's one of the dumbest head coaches I've ever seen. He's the only
defensive coordinator. Actually, he's a defensive head coach.
He's the only idiot I know who'll go for like 4th and 8. Like, bro, this is not Madden. Like, what are you doing? Like, the Chargers just make stupid. Chargers are in the same boat as the Cleveland Browns when they're good, aka meaning if you play them close, you'll win the game.
Right.
If you can stop the Chargers from scoring probably like 3 touchdowns in a row, you'll win the game. Because they have one of the most overrated, overhyped defenses on the planet.
It might be in the history. It might be in the history of the NFL.
Choke artists, overrated defenses on the planet. And then, like, Keenan Allen's okay. He's all right. He's all right. He's not a top. Like, I don't see it like everybody else do. He's all right. Mike Williams, no slouch either. Quentin Johnson's no slouch either. Austin Eckler, overrated, but he's
Didn't
not
even
no
play,
slouch.
but yeah, he didn't even play.
Overrated, not a slouch. Josh
Yep.
Kelly's all right. Like, they
Yep.
got a lot of all right players around a big weapon like Herbert, which is starting to hurt him.
Yeah, look, most overrated defense. I'll get into the Chargers next week. I just want to see. They got that game against the Vikings, is at the Vikings. I'm gonna hold off to see if they could win this game, because again, the Vikings may have had a few wins if they didn't turn the ball over at a record rate. So
it's my favorite day of the week, favorite game of the week.
So I want to see how that game looks before I go in on the Chargers. All right. The thing which I want us both to talk about, obviously your division, the NFC, the AFC North is a big division. They all could run the rock. Chubb got the nasty injury. Shout out to him. Much prayers, because that was nasty. Similar to what happened to him in college, if not worse. Kareem Hunt has now re-signed with the Browns after being a free agent to start the year. Obviously he knows the system very well because he played in it the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Is this any help to the Browns? Obviously, Kareem Hunt is not Nick Chubb. Don't get me wrong, but he is probably a little bit better out as receiving out of the backfield as well. He can run the rock. You know what I mean? Let's not say he can't run the rock. Will this be any help to the Browns, and hopefully can get Deshaun Watson back on board?
I think it'd be a lot big help for Deshaun Watson, because even in Texas, even when he was on the Texans, Deshaun Watson really didn't run more of like a wing eye or whatever, like single back kind of formations. He didn't really like do well out of those sets anyway. He's more of a gun kind of quarterback. So with that being said, you can run a gun offense with him and Kareem Hunt, and also Kareem Hunt is actually really dangerous out the backfield, because when he catches the passes, he always breaks the first tackle anyway.
He does.
So I think this will help the Browns offense, but at this point, Deshaun Watson has to just prove that he can shake the rust off and hit open receivers, because right now that's just simply what he's not doing. So yes, do the Browns have one of the better receiving cores? Hell no. But there are plays where they are wide open, but I think it helps them, but it doesn't at the same time, because I don't believe in Kevin Stefanski's pass combinations. Respectfully.
More than fair. Pop said, looks like some receivers in Wilson have issues. I watched Judy give up on a route. That's my biggest problem with Jerry Jeudy. It's like if he don't got six catches on his way to a $110, it's like he just give up on the routes and stuff like that. And like that's not what I want to see in an NFL receiver. He's talented as all hell. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes his demeanor is annoying. You know what I mean? Like never fly on my team. All right, let's get to these game picks, and then we'll get out of here. We'll be back next week on Tuesday at 7:05 our regular time. Davontae, Chargers and Vikings. We just talked about it briefly. You want to talk about why that is a game for you that we all should check out?
Okay, this game's going to be able to check out. Going to be good to check out because A, it'll probably be high scoring, and B, it'll be the funniest game to watch. So you got the I repeat, you have the Papa Doc Los Angeles Chargers who talk all that, let that go first, and then just sit there, get the mic and go yo, and choke. Like these guys, gangsters. Their real name is Clarence. So you got the Chargers out there, who literally choke for a living, versus another team who chokes for a living in Kirk Cousins. Now,
so something got to give.
Something's got to give. Somebody has to win. If they tie, it'll be even more funny. Because now, but I'm gonna give the edge to the Vikings in this one, because simply the fact it's 1:00. Kirk Cousins normally plays very well at 1:00 when nobody else is watching.
They just picked up Cam Akers from the Rams too.
He'll be hurt by week 8. But anyway,
talk about this game.
This is gonna be my favorite game of the week, just because I want to see who destructs first.
Sure. So the first game I have is actually a Pittsburgh at Las Vegas, only because kind of reversed. Raiders came out and won their first game that they were projected to lose, right? Pittsburgh got beat up by the Niners and then came back and beat a Browns team that is, if all else fails, the Browns team is going to be competitive, right? So I think both teams sit at 1-1, and again, we're talking about in a league year where it seems like everybody's beating everybody. You never know how it shakes out. So when you get games like this where both teams are projected to finish lower in the division and they play each other, You should be able to. I mean, whoever wins that game might be in good shape sitting at 2-1. That's why I got that game on there. I think Pickett has some stuff to answer for. I want the Raiders defense have some stuff to answer for. You know how I feel about Josh McDaniels. I know how you feel about Matt Canada. So like something has to give. Again, something has to give. Somebody has to win the game.
Bro.
Right. It's a Sunday night game. It's a Sunday night game. So very curious to see how that goes. Your second game is my second game as well. We both have Saints at the Packers. Why don't you give your reasoning first?
I picked the Saints versus Packers. This is going to be Jordan Love's true first shot at a real defense. And I want to see what he looks like against like a real tough ass defense. Like the Saints have a real tough defense. There's a reason why they only won that game, 16-9 the Monday, the game before.
Yep.
The game before mine was like 16-9 or something like that. So there's a reason why they're stout on defense. Like that secondary is not to be played with. Demario Davis is not to be played with. Cam Jordan's not to be played with. So that being said, this is gonna be Jordan Love's first take at it. So if I gotta pick, I'm going to go with the Green Bay because I think the home field advantage will help them just by a little bit. I think Derek Carr needs to play better because 16 points isn't going to cut it late in the offseason.
So I picked this game as well. And the reason why I picked this game is last year I saw Derek Carr take a Raiders team that wasn't too good and score about 26 points a game, right, with them. I think the weapons he have around the Saints is better. Obviously, Jacobs led the league in rushing last year. I'm counting Kamara being there with him having better weapons. He does not have a Davontae Adams, although I think the receiving core overall is a little better because Waller was always hurt. Derek Carr has now won 2 games in his career, scoring less than 24 points, which is, believe it or not, he's the only active starter of two or more years to do so. That happens to be week 1 and week 2. So I'm sure for him it's kind of crazy to have the offense sputter and still win the game because in Vegas he was never used to that. So, but the reason why I picked this game is the Packers have a really good defense, and it's time for him to get that Saints offense going because eventually that defense ain't gonna hold teams to 1 touchdown or less forever. I think Jordan Love has a test. I agree with everything you said about his test, about playing against a good Saints defense, but also I'm looking at it from the standpoint is if Derek Carr, you wanted to prove that part of the reason why he left, even though he didn't have a choice, the part of the reason why he went to the Saints was, let me show you what I could do scoring 26 points a game with a good defense will make a deep playoff run. That's what he said. He literally said that. Now he has the defense. He's 2-0. Now you're going to go play against a good offense, and it's time to see how do you have that offense going. You know the offense. You played in this exact offense to begin your career. That's what I want to see in that game. All right. Your last game, you have the Bucks at the Bears. Why do you have that game?
Okay, so normally I would have picked the Rams versus the Bengals, but I really don't believe the Rams offense should be judged until they get Cooper Kupp back. Like, yes, I know their rookie receiver had a good game last week. He actually ate up. The
past 2 weeks, actually,
like he ate, but like I still don't believe in it personally. Like Cooper Kupp is the identity of the Los Angeles Rams. Don't believe in it. I don't believe I can look at Matt Stafford without Cooper Kupp. It's kind of the same way how you can't look at the Rams defense without Aaron Donald. It just don't. No, they're the identity for a reason. So that's why I slightly didn't pick it. And the Bengals kind of look sloppy really at the moment anyway. So I kind of did figure the Bengals would win this game. No problem. So that's why I didn't really pick them. The Bucks Bears, I picked them because this game is going to be pretty much not watched by most of America. Right. Honestly. And then most importantly, I think this is a make or break game for Justin Fields, who had some very OD comments today, to basically saying that like the reason why he's playing like a robot is because of coaching, which is very like what's going on here, which makes a lot of sense because he actually was dominating last year. I don't know what happened now. So now when you look at, and then you got Baker Mayfield in the Bucks,
the coordinator just left. He resigned today for the Bears.
The defense. So then now you got the Bears. Now you got the Bucks with Baker Mayfield in them, but basically you're looking at them. Can they
2-0 as well?
Who's 2-0 as well, and you're looking at them to see if they can sneak in another playoff spot. Because honestly, this is a big game for the Bucks. I mean, this is a big season for the Bucks because if Baker Mayfield shows he can play, this may be the thing that helps them keep Mike Evans. Because if not, if they're trash, I guarantee he's going to leave. He's walking out the door. Absolutely. So I think I'm rocking with the Bucks this week. They need this game more.
Absolutely. So My last game is Rams at the Bengals Monday night. I picked this game because I think the Rams are a sleeper team. You saw them take the Niners to the wire until late, and then the Niners kind of pulled away because of the defense, right?
Yep.
Cincinnati got off to a bad start, 2 division losses. I don't care how good you are. That is not good.
Yeah.
To go down 0-2 in your division is not good. And this is a sneaky game because I can see the Bengals thinking, okay, we start off the game 2. Okay, then we got the Rams. Oh, Rams, no Cooper Kupp bet. You know what I mean? Aaron Donald's there. He's been playing well. He played well in that Niners game. Mm-hmm. The young receivers look hungry. That young back looks hungry. And Stafford is throwing that ball. And the offensive line looks pretty good for the Rams. So this is not a pushover game like it was last year. You know what I mean? And the Bengals can't afford to fall 0-3. Although I do think they get the win, I think it's going to be a very close game. That's why I want to see that game, because I want to see how the Bengals do. I know Joe's a little banged up with the calf. I know Jamar Chase had a little hamstring or quad injury on in the last game, looked a little gimpy, but when you fall into an 0-2 hole, you know what I mean? You don't have time to play. The AFC is close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's close. Great. Like it's you can't play around. The Bengals already got one up on you. I mean, I'm sorry, the Ravens, they already got one up on you. The Browns already got one up on you. And the Steelers are 1-1, and you're 0-2. You can't fall to 0-3, or I might even say the Bengals are done in terms of, because that's how close the AFC is as a whole. And now, before you even look, the Titans are 1-1, where everybody thought the Titans were going to start 0-5. So
true.
That's that. Let's get to the comments. Davontae Onward said, Fields said he's going back to the way he plays. Let's see if that matters. And he's not terrible.
Like, all he has to do is have a good game. Like, it doesn't really matter if they lose. If he has a good game or a more improved game, everybody's probably going to be back on the side. It really doesn't matter.
Right.
He's played that bad to where it's like, if he has a good game and they lose, it's more like,
Pop said, Vikings over Chargers. Oh, my God. Like, I'm a Raiders fan, so obviously Davontae knows I despise the Chargers. I despise Brandon Staley. I don't even like Herbert, to be honest. But I'm like, yo, they're too talented, too many names, too much money being spent on that team to start 0-3. Raiders over the Steelers.
He's supposed
Sunday
to
night.
He's
Sunday
supposed to
night.
that way.
Partially because he needs it, right? Packers over the Saints. The return to Baker Mayfield. Bears win. Too many excuses not to. Wow. Okay. Burrow may not play versus the Rams, but Bengals grout anyway. Haters.
Oh, no, all right. If Burrow does not play, they will not beat the Rams.
If they beat the Rams without Burrow, take everything I just said about the Rams.
You trade the Rams away.
Matter of fact, if they beat I'm telling you right now, if they beat the Rams, because Stafford's on his expiring deal, just trade Stafford.
It's a good night. Yeah.
Just trade him to the Jets
and get it over with.
Yeah.
And then just tank and rebuild at that point.
Shout out to Reggie, who's watching the show, who was with Davontae in Pittsburgh.
My guy.
Shout out to that. But yeah, we'll be back next week on Tuesday, 7:05 to talk more ball. Some big games. It's week 3, man. A lot of teams who are down 0-2. It's time to, you know what I mean? It's time to get going, and those teams who are 2-0, you can start to separate yourself. You know what I mean? Some big games next week. So Thursday tomorrow we have the Giants and the Niners playing, and then Sunday
at 30.
Yo, you hate the Giants. And then Sunday night, of course, you have the Steelers at the Raiders, and then Monday night we have the Rams at the Bengals. We'll be back to cover it all on Tuesday. Davontae, take it away.
Yes, sir. So you guys can find me at Davontae Forever on YouTube, where I'm basically talking a lot about the NFL, but most importantly, I'm talking about my Pittsburgh Steelers and what we need to do. And so you can follow me on there. Jay, thank you again. I'll see you next week.
No doubt. We out. Peace.
Peace.